So I don't know what's happening with YouTube, but this is not working either. I can't live stream. Can't live stream. Just give me a second. Can't live stream through the YouTube channel, which is very strange as well, considering I've just been banned in my Facebook as well. So just give me a second. We're having to do this in a different manner. So here I am, and hello my baby gorillas. Apologise for the technical difficulties there, and I'm just here to talk a bit about what's actually happened in New Zealand, and it's a big problem there. 50 people died, and it's very sad. It's also very sad what happened in the Philippines, where Islamists blew up 20 people in the Philippines as well. Blew up a Catholic church in the Philippines. And it's also very sad what happened in Nigeria, that 3 villages had been completely wiped out by Islamist terrorists in Nigeria as well. They just went in and killed people, wiped out 3 villages in Nigeria. So again, I can't get into my Facebook, and it's very interesting that people in Silicon Valley are now trying to, I think, silence people who they might not politically agree with. So it is a very strange sort of situation. People are being silenced. And if that's not totalitarianism, I don't know what is. So I would like to talk about what Jacinda Ardern, who is the person who's in charge of, or the Premier of New Zealand, and what she's been saying about this shooter. Having looked at the manifesto, and I'm going to leave a link in the description to another video on YouTube, which was very well done. When I looked at the manifesto of the shooter, it looked very confused, and it didn't look like it was any. Jacinda Ardern said that it's from a right-wing extremist. And it didn't look like a right-wing extremist from where I was looking at it, but I didn't really understand the ideology behind it. And I think from a political science point of view, you have to understand what the person is actually, where the person is coming from. It's very unusual a shooter is actually going to leave a manifesto. So what was in this manifesto? It looked like it was quite confused, wasn't right wing, wasn't left wing, and it was rather unusual what the guy had actually written in the manifesto. So, and don't forget to subscribe, guys. Hit the subscribe button. We're trying to go for our first 1,000 subscribers here. So I'd heard a number of months ago about this ideology that I'd never heard about before, and it was called Nazbols, or National Bolsheviks, and it's in the gentleman. I think I'll just tell you, it was from the Outer Light. I think his name is Eddie or Eric, the gentleman that was actually doing the description. And basically, what they were saying is that these are nationalist Bolsheviks or communists. They have got 2 prongs to their fascist communists. They're right-wing in their social issues, but left-wing on their economic issues, and extreme environmentalists as well. And maybe because Jacinda Ardern is a Labour Party, the head of the Labour Party, and as well as the Prime Minister, and is in bed with the Greens, who are an extreme neo-communist organisation, that she wanted to sort of pass it off as this gentleman being a right-wing shooter. Now, I'm personally a centrist. I'm a centrist libertarian and a classical liberal, or like the Scottish New Enlightenment. And that's the sort of ideology that I follow from a political point of view, a libertarian liberalist. But this gentleman seemed to be a member of Nazbol, and only if you understand what the National Bolshevik Manifesto is, does it make sense, because it looked like it was pretty incoherent. But it's not incoherent when you understand what Nazbols actually mean. And I don't know if Richard Spencer, he's called the alt-right, but if Richard Spencer is potentially a Nazbol as well, a national Bolshevik, because he's been very left-wing in some of his economic perspectives on what his beliefs are, as well as having other identitarian-based beliefs, just like the left, just like intersectionality is in the left, which is a sort of anti-white racist ideology as well. So that's basically what these are, what's actually happening with us. But I'm being prevented from talking on Facebook now, and it's because it's becoming up to, I can't live stream that. I'm actually live streaming just now, but doing it from a different manner. I'm getting errors from live streaming on YouTube as well. So what does the National Bolsheviks actually believe in? Don't forget, I mean, this is a combination of National Socialism, Fascism, and Communism. Now, I think I've actually said before that communism initially started in the 19th century with Friedrich Engels and Karl Marx, who were the ideological inspirations for communism. Friedrich Engels, who's got a statue in Manchester, was the first person to advocate genocide, and he advocated genocide against the Scots and the Basques and the Bretons, and he was basically, he was the first sort of reverse racist who wanted to destroy other parts of Europe, to destroy Europe, to rebuild it in this communist ideology. And the National Bolsheviks have got the same beliefs, that they want to destroy things before they actually build it back again. Fascinating as well. And then I said that from Giovanni Gentile, who was the ideological inspiration for fascism, which came out of communism, with slight changes in ideology, but still within the if you look on the political compass, if you've not done it, do your political compass test. But if you look at the ideology, it's coming out of communism with modifications on communism. And again, don't forget, obviously, Marx wrote about the Jewish question, which was a bit anti-Semitic, although Marx came from a Jewish lineage. He was, I think it was quite anti-Semitic. I think he changed to some form of Christianity. And fascism, and Giovanni Gentile and Mussolini were both socialists. They were actual socialists before they became fascists. I think fascism was a way back from in Italy, from the Caesar, and but the combination of communism and this fascism was the branches of the new branches of fascism in Italy. And obviously, if you look at National Socialism, which again is a different ideology, so people think fascism and National Socialism are the same ideology, they're different ideologies. Fascism in Italy wasn't necessarily anti-Semitic, but National Socialism got its inspiration from both fascism and also communism. In the National Socialist coinage, they actually had the hammer and sickle on the coinage within the Nazi ideological inspirations, as well as the fascism, which was a number of rods bound together. So they combined fascism and communism. And now, and they were sort of laissez-faire, they were slightly more laissez-faire than in their economic ideology. But now we've got the National Bolsheviks, who are nationalistic and communist, so they're slightly the more right wing that would follow the Nazis and the fascists in their right wing, and I mean right wing within the socialist authoritarian bloc on your political compass. But these guys are now combining the left wing economics of an environmentalism of the left and the communist left, and also National Socialist, although they're saying they're not against a specific type of person and race or religion or anything, which makes it even stranger if this guy's gone in and killed Muslims. But he said he was in killing them because they were invaders, because they had a higher birth rate. And the fact is that he was like an extreme, he said he was a Nico-fascist, which is part of the Nazbol ideology as well. So, this new Nazbol new ideology is a political party. It's a political party in Russia, and there's part in Serbia, and it's growing throughout the world. And this guy, this shooter in Christchurch, was on Nazbol websites and 4chan and things like that. So he had that background. So Jacinda Ardern has now portrayed this guy as right wing, and it's young white men that's the problem, because I think it would be very difficult for her to explain that this was an extreme left wing shooter, because she's a member of the Labour Party in New Zealand, and the head of the state, and she's also in bed with the Green Party, and the Labour Party and the Greens are both together in bed with each other within this. So it would be very difficult for her to go on, and there she was wearing the hijab, which I'll come back to that in a minute, but I don't think she would want to explain that this guy was extreme left wing. This guy, because fascism, National Socialism and communism is in the socialist, the authoritarian socialist bloc, the left bloc of on the political compass. They do not want for them to explain this. And she's now talking about the far right, and this guy was far right and racist and blah blah blah, because that deflects the actual focus being on that this guy was an extreme lefty, and because she is obviously a member of the Labour Party, which is extremely left as well. I've not been very impressed listening to her. I know that it's been a real tragedy in New Zealand, but I've not been overly impressed actually listening to her statements, and she either knows that this guy was an Nazbol and they don't want to address it, or she doesn't know, and which means she's not very clued up on politics as a political science, and she's just quite happy to use this as an excuse to beat the extreme right, which obviously makes political sense but is incorrect in what she's actually thinking. So, I mean, this is absolutely massive, and really, this gentleman, I wouldn't have got that he was an Nazbol, because I thought when I read his manifesto, the Shooter's manifesto in Christchurch, it looked completely ideologically confused. But when you look through it through the lens of a Nazbol, a National Bolshevik, then you actually see that it makes perfect sense. So this guy was an extreme environmentalist, neo-communist, because of the Bolshevik nationalist. That he supported Mosley, who was also a socialist, who advocated for socialism. Mosley was the fascist leader in the UK who advocated for socialism, but a nationalist socialism. And that was one of his inspirations in the Christchurch Shooters manifesto. And people really don't understand it, because they don't really understand political science as a science. So that puts a whole new light on it. So the Prime Minister of New Zealand didn't want to actually admit that this guy was extreme left-wing. and he shot the people because they were invaders, but because they had a higher birth rate, because they come from a community with high birth rates, he sees that's an imposition on environmental issues. So he thinks that that's placing greater. He's like an environmental extremist, a bit like Alexander Ocasio-Cortez in America. The world's going to end in 12 years. Let's not have babies. That lunatic left environmental extremism. So it puts a whole different context to what actually happened there. And quite incredible. So we've now got in the UK, so I'm just going to leave that out there, but I've not been really impressed by Jacinda Ardern, our handling of things there. This blaming of white people because they're white as well, white race, right wing. We've got to crack down on right wing racism and blah blah blah. And I've not really been impressed with that whatsoever. We've got to understand that Islam is right wing. That 11 of the 50 Muslim countries who have all been invaded by Islam as well, kill through the hadith. It says in the hadith to kill homosexuals, and by killing homosexuals and through Sharia law, the state carries that out. So that's just one aspect. It also says to kill atheists. And being an atheist myself, I'm not really happy about people being imported here who I know who's got an ideology that says to kill them. In Saudi Arabia, there was a gentleman killed in Saudi Arabia, a Saudi gentleman who died by the hands of the state because he was an atheist. In Pakistan, there was a guy who was secular who was killed by other students. A mob gathered and he was killed as well for being secular. And in Bangladesh, an extremist Muslim mob hacked a guy to death because he was a radio show blogger, I think, and he was hacked to death because he was an atheist. So they actually literally, it says repeatedly in the Quran to kill and murder atheists. So I don't understand, and she's wearing her hijab, which is a sort of sign of female, because it's the Quran's very misogynistic. When men can have 4 wives and they can beat their wives, and I mean it's just really bad. She's wearing a hijab, which is a sign of women's oppression throughout the Middle East, and she's calling herself a progressive. There isn't anything progressive about Islam. If she thought Islam was that progressive, I would suggest she goes from New Zealand and goes and lives in Saudi Arabia, and then let's find out how progressive it is. Because I'll tell you, you don't have many rights over there. Anyway, so we've now got the Labour Party contemplating bringing in blasphemy laws. This new thing, Islamophobia. It's not a phobia not to want to get murdered by the people who carry out this death cult, which is Islam. We have to remember that you're 140 times more likely to be murdered in a Muslim country for being Christian than being killed in a Western country for being Muslim. You're 10 times more likely to be killed in France now for being a Christian than you are for being a Muslim. And if you want to send me, I'm going to put descriptions later on in the actual, in the description part in the YouTube video. And if you want, I'll go to France this weekend and cover the Gilets jaunes protests. If you pay me enough money, I'll go over and I'll actually film what's happening in France under Macron. And actually cover what's happening with the Gilets jaunes, because that's becoming an absolute mess. Another corporatist globalist having big problems. And we're seeing now Trudeau in Canada looks like he might lose the next election. Another very poor Prime Minister. So that's it's all very interesting. These people backing this extreme beliefs. But the reason is because we're moving towards one world government, and we've already seen what's happening just now with Brexit and the MPs who are misrepresenting their constituents are not actually implementing the vote. They're now trying to delay it. Theresa, the Remainer, has done, I mean, it's just incredible what she's done. So what's going to happen now with Brexit? So Brexit is now, she's now wanting a short delay. I don't know what she's wanting a delay for. She's now, I don't know if she's had any concessions since she's been over chatting with the rest of the EU commissioners and the other representatives of state. And so the Speaker of the House has told her that she can't present the same treaty, which this is a treaty with the EU, again to the House of Parliament. So unless she's got concessions just now in bringing back the treaty, she won't even be able to present it next week. So the EU said that she's not going to get any longer she's not going to get any longer to actually present this if she can't pass it next week. The Speaker's already said that she's not allowed to actually pass it. Because there's no changes to the actual treaty that she's already substantially lost in the last 2 times she submitted this. She's going to speak to the other Labour Party and the SNP and etc. to try and then persuade them to actually pass her really bad. This is going to be even worse. Just now, her treaty keeping us in through the back door into the EU. She might not get it passed unless she gets the consent from SNP and Labour. It looks like the Brexiteers or the ERG will actually knock it back as well. So I mean, she might not get it passed next week. So that means they're not going to do a short extension. But what they might do, they'll have another meeting on the 28th, the day before, and then have a long extension. So we could actually be held in for another 2 years in the Brexit process. So that means we would be in 5 years. So our MPs have not implemented Brexit in 5 years. We could have been out in probably a year. And they've deliberately fudged it so that it's not been done. So here's my prediction. Either it's going to go in front, it'll get knocked back again for the 3rd time. I'll either go in front of the people or the Parliament and it won't get knocked back. She'll actually get some sort of consensus with the SNP and the other ones, and that could split the Conservative Party. I'll either not been able, either that the Speaker will not allow her to put it in front of the Parliament again because there's been no changes to it. If it's not accepted, then she's going to have to go back on the 28th of March back into the EU to actually speak to the MPs. If she goes back and speaks to the MPs, the MEPs, not the MEPs, sorry, the other heads of state and the Commission, and says, right, I've not got it, they might say, well, we're not giving you a short-term deal because obviously you can't pass anything. We'll give you a 2-year deal, which will take us up to the next election. So the Conservative Party in power and the Labour Party want to keep us in the customs union and the single market, which effectively means that we're not leaving. So they're not doing what was on their manifesto. They've got no respect for the Brexit vote either. So if they keep us in the EU for another 2 years, that's going to take us up, because there's fixed term parliaments of 5 years. That will take us up to just before the next general election, unless there's something else happens sooner. And what could happen is that people are just so sick of not being lied to, and they might just all vote UKIP or this new Brexit party with Nigel Farage in. Although I think it's a big mistake splitting the vote between the Brexit party and UKIP. I think that's a big mistake. They should have just had one party and they should have gone all together. So after the 29th, if May gets a 2-year extension on it, people are going to be furious. They're going to be for keeping us in. That's obviously May the Remainer has managed to successfully thwart the people's democratic referendum vote. And even the Remainers are upset because obviously this is a major blight to British democracy and looks highly embarrassing to our democracy, which We have shown a great way of a democratic process for the rest of the world as well, and a lot of countries are a lot better because of the democratic process that we have helped develop in their countries as well. And yeah, so whether or not she's going to be able to stay after the 29th, the guys might come in and say, right, it's your time to go. But whether or not, because there's such a large amount of Christian Democrats or TRG or One Nation Tories in the Conservative Party, you might get another, although May's gone, it'll just be the changing of the captain in the Titanic where they get another Remainer, and there'll be nothing changed. So the actual 200 MPs in the Conservative Party have actually managed to not put in place the actual Brexit vote. So if 17.4 million people vote UKIP, that means that it'll turn the whole country purple. And all these Remainers will be put out to pasture, which I think is a good thing. I think we'll get some really poor, misrepresenting MPs in just now. And to be honest with you, if they all get tossed out, I don't think we'll be losing much. Whether or not we're going to see an actual ideological split in the Conservative Party with the ERG forming up with this new party with Boris and Nigel Farage and Jacob Rees-Johnston and the other ones that are proper Conservatives in this new Brexit-esque party with the UKIP coming in. They might as well just be one huge party and taking on the Remainers, which they will be a busted flush. People will be able to see right through them. There'll be less of people who voted again not to come out of the EU, not to have a no deal or a WTO Brexit or a zero tariff Brexit, which would be even better. So the whole thing is an absolute mess. And I don't know, I don't see that Theresa May can actually hang on for much longer. So what the Labour Party, and the Labour Party are just offering to fudge it again and stay in the Customs Union. Same with the SNP, same with the Greens. Stay in the Customs Union, stay in the single market, which means we won't be able to do any trade negotiations with other countries. So the whole thing is an absolute disaster. So I think we're going to see a clear out of our political class. If that happens, if they keep us in for another 2 years, it's going to take us up right behind the next election, and they'll have absolutely managed to fudge it. So we've got lists of telling you who actually has done this. We know who the MPs are, and it'll be about probably getting rid of those MPs and getting rid of the political parties. Because I don't think it's going to be, even if you get pro-Brexit people in the actual parties, I think it's about clearing out the actual political class. I think the Labour Party, the Liberals and the others have been in there far too long. We need a clear out of our political class. So, it's a very interesting time in British politics. It's incredible, absolutely incredible how badly managed this has been by Theresa May. Her claws, like Macron's, are starting, this corporatist globalist cabal are starting to slip, and they are going to start to be moved out of power. And I think what we're going to see as well is in the European elections, because they're obviously European. So if they keep us in for another 2 years, that means we would have to stand in the European elections, and UKIP and Brexit Party will absolutely sweep the board there. Sweep the board in the Brexit election, in the Brexit elections. So we're going to get absolutely massive feedback from them not actually implementing Brexit on the 29th if they have a long delay. And we're going to have to pay billions of pounds more money to actually to the Commission for actually this delayed process. So it's just absolutely bonkers, because the people don't want us to come out of the EU. Oh, we would be better just getting a no-deal Brexit and walking away and start to negotiate our trade deals with other people. So, I mean, I hope that's been quite interesting. It's a different take. You don't get this take on the BBC. The big BBC is completely politically skewed, and really just a bunch of lefties. We're actually paying their mortgages. I don't pay for my TV licence anymore. I'm not prepared to actually do that. They've set up BBC Scotland. It's absolutely shocking. It's terrible. It's a terrible channel. 33 million out of £1 billion. We make up, Scots make up about 10% of the population throughout the UK. But again, Nicola Sturgeon's being ignored. But Nicola Sturgeon's a bit of a problem as well, because there's 1 million Scots in Scotland who voted Brexit. And some of them are voting SNP as well. But I have to say, I've been underwhelmed. I have an MP called Joanna Cherry, and she's not even prepared to take an appointment with me just now. And I was held in the ban for 2 years without a legal ability to work or leave the country. I can't get any legal representation, and now my MP is not even prepared to actually see me. So, and I've not really had that great service from the SNP. So it wouldn't be really much really bad if they disappeared as well. So I think we're due a new political entity in Scotland, and I think that will be coming quite soon as well. So if you want to help me, if you want better presentations and more informative news, just start doing what you can to help. Any small amounts will be greatly appreciated, and I will go to France and actually live stream the Gilets jaunes and what's happening with the poor guys over there. They can put their points on the Guerilla TV channel as well, which I'll be loving to do, and see what the Gilets jaunes are actually saying, try and get an interpreter. So if you want me to go this weekend, because I think this weekend Macron stopped the Gilets jaunes getting into Paris, so I think it'll be a really incredible situation this weekend in France, and it's not really being covered either. I would just like to say as well, the BBC have hardly covered the 3 people who were murdered in the Netherlands by a Turkish man as well. 3 people get shot. They were trying to not pass that off as a terrorist attack, while spending all the time on obviously what had happened in New Zealand, because it fitted their narrative as well. So an extreme left-wing shooter killed those 50 guys down in Christchurch, it looks like, and he's an alleged Nazbol, national Bolshevik. And I was looking at it on YouTube as well, and on YouTube there was an imam, which is the head of a congregation, just like a priest or a vicar here, and he was saying that he didn't think it was white guys, it was white Christian guys. He said he thought it was the Jews. Well, we understand that the Muslims blame the Jews for everything, but obviously it being national Bolsheviks, the Bolsheviks were predominantly, or a significant large proportion of them, Jewish. And I don't know how that relates to this new national Bolshevik or Nazbol organisation, but it will be very interesting to find out if there is any Jewish involvement in the national Bolshevik movement, and if the imam, I don't know where it was from. It was on Facebook. I don't know where this imam was from, and it was with subtitles. So my Arabic is shwoi, but I wouldn't have been able to pick up everything that he was saying just from how he was talking. So I was only getting from the subtitles whether or not that was correct or not. So very interesting, an incredible situation. So I'm looking for 1,000 subscribers, guys. So if you haven't subscribed, get subscribing. If you want to donate, help us get better content, I will promise you I'll get better content, and I'll go the extra mile to get the interviews with the most interesting people. I'm not being able to live stream through YouTube just now, so I know this is live streaming, but I had to go around the circle in a circle to actually get to live stream. It's throwing up error messages, and I don't know why it's throwing up error messages and not allowing me to live stream. I've been kicked off both Facebooks, obviously because the people in Silicon Valley are banning people who might not ideologically tally up to what they're wanting. So they are discriminating. They're just picking the victims. Same with Infowars and Alex Jones. What the President of the United States should do is give Alex Jones his own station like CNN or Fox News. He should give Alex Jones, Infowars, his own station, mainstream station. That's what the President of the United States should do. That's my advice to him, Mr. President, sir. And thanks very much to Donald Jr., who correctly pointed out that it would be a complete travesty for the democratic result of the referendum, not to be implemented. It would be a travesty. Oh, so very interesting. There's an election coming up for a local referendum in Leith in Scotland, and there's a good few candidates, UKIP and For Britain and Scottish Libertarian Party, and that gives different types of politics. We would be better actually just trying these parties and actually seeing if anything better come out than the usual parties we try. We might as well swap them around and see if there's anything better out there, guys. Just change your vote, just get rid of them. If you don't like them, get rid of them. That's what democracy's for. Right, guys? And if 17.4 million people vote UKIP, the whole of Britain's going purple and there'll be a proper Brexit. Okay, guys, love you, my baby gorillas. I've got more and more stuff. We're going to get t-shirts and everything all done. You can donate through PayPal,